I was so stunned yesterday with the news that you were tweeting out about Deshaun Watson. Not the fact that they couldn't strike a deal, Deshaun Watson and the Texans and the Dolphins together, but the fact that the owner of the Dolphins, Stephen Ross, finally got permission to speak to Deshaun Watson only the night before. How did it take that long for two teams that have been dancing around each other with the subject matter that is so obvious that the risk of acquiring him needed to be removed for everybody to get what they wanted, Deshaun in Miami and Deshaun putting himself in Miami, the Texans getting him off their roster and getting dollar for dollar, not cents on the dollar. How did it take that long for Stephen Ross to sit down with Deshaun Watson?
Well, because this thing had a deadline and a life of its own, and it happens when it happens. And I know that's a bad answer, but this thing had tops and turns and false starts. And, I mean, think about how many times people have reported a deal was going to happen, and then it didn't end up happening. It needed to be close enough and real enough for the owner to get permission to sit down with them. So I think that's what it was. It took that long for the two sides to say, you know what, now this actually may happen, now you can do it. And it came the night before. They still could have done it, certainly could have done it. But from what I understand, the biggest reason that Deshaun Watson did not end up as a Miami Dolphin today is because he has not settled his cases yet. And Watson has maintained his innocence, and he has not settled his cases, and that is why he is, from what I understand, not a member of the Dolphins.
Well, I mean, so maybe I guess they're also holding off Stephen Ross because of what a problem it might create with Tua, even though it's obvious that they were trying to get Watson for weeks and months. And the coach and Brian Flores says that Tua's our guy, and now he meets with him, and it still doesn't happen. So now what? You know? That's a tough one to put back in the bottle.
So, yeah, kind of. I kind of go back. I mean, you're obviously not wrong, but I just personally, I kind of go back and forth on that because, like, isn't life just like all of us waiting to be replaced by somebody who's better than us, right?
Oh, my God. Don't go. Dude, do you need a hug? Do you need a hug, Ian? I mean, wow, you just went like full Kyle Shanahan. We may all be dead Sunday. What does it matter about Deshaun Watson anyway?
Seriously, it's true. Like, right? I mean, like for all of us, it's like we all are amazing at our jobs, and life is so good unless they find somebody better, in which case that person will be doing it. That's what life is like, right? Like, so I don't get the sense, honestly, I don't think Tua really cares that much. I think he's really fine. Actually, I know that sounds crazy, but I think he's really fine. That's just the reality of life. Like, and I don't even know that it's a Tua issue. Like, I don't think the Dolphins are like, oh, Tua sucks, so we're going to go get Watson. I think it's like, oh, my God, we might actually be able to get Deshaun Watson. Let's look into this. Like, we're all replaceable if there's someone else better. It's just the reality. I don't know.
No, and I know that you could say that is life in the big city, but when you're already, in for such a huge draft choice for your quarterback and your draft choice in next year's draft, your top draft choice in next year's draft belongs to somebody else, this one will be tough to fix unless you just say, screw it, by next March, next new league year, boy, will we be all the way in on Watson then, when you hope that things will be a little bit more rectified and it winds up in a way that, oh, by the way, Watson is a viable citizen, not just a football player. So that's one way to do it. But what would the market be now that the can has officially been kicked down the road? What about that leverage that the Texans may have, the Dolphins may have anyway, regardless of how many teams are interested, because Watson only wants to go to Miami? Or was that just for now? What can you tell me about that part of the equation that we're going to eventually land on next new league year, Ian?
I think the market's going to be stronger. Like that's always been like I'm not going to say they almost had a deal, but they could have had a deal yesterday, and there were definitely times when I thought a deal was getting done. The fact that it didn't. But it's always struck me that it actually benefited the Texans by waiting. Like, it really did. Like, because the Panthers would have been in it. And they probably will be in it this offseason. The Dolphins, I would assume, are still going to be in it this offseason. But think about how many teams are going to need quarterbacks. Like, I could go right down the list, and I'll just say, like, I do not know. I'm not. This is not news here, but I have no idea if the Falcons, how committed they are to Matt Ryan, whether they'd be interested in all of that. But that's where Deshaun is from. They do have a quarterback that's aging. Like, would they be interesting to him? Like, there's going to be some real teams that are interested. So I think the market's actually going to be better.
Right. Unless he is just so focused on Miami, he creates the market himself. That's
Right.
part of this whole Rubik's Cube
Right.
that still hasn't been solved, And then, of course, there's a possibility that Aaron Rodgers is out there for some teams, too. I mean, that's what makes
Aaron
it.
Rodgers, Russell Wilson, like we could go all the way down the list.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.